These next examples from the Sinfonias by Johann Sebastian Bach, or the three-part Inventions, give us examples of dividing up one voice between two hands. So I'm looking at the C minor Sinfonia, measures 5 and 6. The measure starts with the lowest voice and the highest voice. I have this nice parallel descending seventh. And these notes are held while the middle voice comes back in. Here it is again. There's one note from the middle voice at the beginning. So the temptation would be to just land on these two notes and then start playing the scale going up. But you have to hear that these voices continue, and then the right hand picks up the F, so that F from the top voice is over. Now it's the middle voice. And this note actually holds longer than the F. The F is a quarter note, the A flat is a dotted quarter note. The next measure does the same thing. Now the addition that we're looking at, the Henley addition, suggests ending measure 6. The right hand on E flat, the left hand on D. You can tell that by where the fingers are printed. The 2 is above the note, the thumb is below the note. But I prefer to take both of these notes in the left hand. It gives me an entire 8th rest, that's that 8th rest that you see, to prepare the trill coming up. So that's the mark that I've given myself with the pencil, to take those 2 notes in the left hand. Here's the whole passage again. The next example that I'll talk about is from the E minor Sinfonia. This is measures 19 through 21. And again, we have a moving middle voice that has to be divided between the hands. Actually, the first beat of this measure might be the most challenging because it requires you to listen in a certain way. You'll notice the F sharp is a quarter note at the beginning, as is the B. Holding the B for a quarter note is easy. So as I start the 16th notes, I'm actually still holding on to the F sharp. And then I have to play the F sharp again, but remember it's part of the quarter note. So I'm still holding it while I play the E. So we have the illusion of that F sharp continuing as a separate voice. Here's the rest of the measure. So you'll notice, besides dividing up the voice in between the 2 hands, you're jumping from the C sharp to the F sharp. It's not possible to actually connect those notes with fingers, at least not my hand size, but you do hear the lines connect. It's a pretty quick acrobatic maneuver, no doubt about it. So we've just arrived on the F sharp, we've played the first beat, and we've silently switched to the 3 so that we can keep going. And we have the same acrobatics and the same changes of the hands. It's a sequence going down a step. So here's the whole passage. notes that I can point out to you. The end of measure 20, I actually decide on a different fingering. I continue with my fingers and then cross under on the next beat, which is what you see penciled in. I also play the left hand differently at the end of that measure. It just seems easier for me to play the third with 3 and 5 instead of 1 and 3. These are decisions that you can make as long as you're making sure all of the voices do what they're supposed to do. Then we come back to the C minor Sinfonia. This is measures 25 and 26. We have yet another middle voice that will be divided between the hands. That is only the beginning of this particular passage. So I'm going to talk you through some particular spots. I'm going to start measure 25. So that was the whole passage slowly. I pointed out this middle voice, but actually what's more difficult than the switching between the hands is that you have this crossover in order to be able to get up to the F in the next measure. Here it is again. It's also important to start on 4 in the left hand. So I've just made it. I cross over to 4, silently change, and then I can connect that dotted quarter note to F. Here it is again, and I'm going to show you one other spot. This right here in the left hand, the A flat will continue for a quarter note, which is why the second finger is so important. So I hold that note as I walk down the scale, and then as soon as I cross under, I can let go of the A flat, but I cannot let go of the F. There's a lot of these sustained notes like we were talking about in the previous tutorial. Here is the beat before. So it's a little under tempo, but hopefully you can see everything that needs to be sustained as you continue this passage.